And there are a lot of improvements that have happened over the agent mode, which was just starting at that point of time. There are new modes which have come in. There are new ways of working with Copilot which have come in. And the use cases that we can now address are much more than what we used to earlier. So this is kind of a session on that, an extension of the previous session. We'll cover a few of the features, key features which have now been released recently. And then at the end of it, we'll come back and look at how we are communicating with Copilot, how to get the best effectiveness out of Copilot. It is somewhere around prompting, but more towards something that we call as context engineering. So we'll come to it. And we'll also have some exercises, some shareable material that will be shared to you, end of it, playbooks and all. So we'll start with the first part of it, which is the first major feature that has come. Any questions, by the way? Anything, any expectations that people have either on the call or here from this session? Is there some particular topic on GitHub Copilot that you want us to cover outside of what I just told? You can tell, we can cover that as well, if possible, in the time that we have. Anything? Nothing? Anyone on the call? Is there anything specific you want us to cover on Copilot?
Are we covering the usage of MCP here, like the clear cost MCP?
So okay, MCP in general we are not covering. Like we'll tell that these are MCP comes under skills that you can basically add or tools that you can add to your agent mode. But it is right now not covered in this session. And in Quest we have a version problem or compatibility problem with our.
Also, the most of the text, larger text from Clear Quest is it will not come. So there's a character limit. So most of our fields are nodes and all.
The bottom line is there are issues with the current Copilot.
It looks like the text search we cannot use rightly. Yeah.
So for MCP and others, we will be rolling out few MCPs in the near future. In that, we will give you detailed instructions of what MCP is, how exactly can you integrate those tools to your Copilot.
Okay.
Right. So majorly something on Figma, Windchill, all those MCPs are right now which are kind of being used across films and across industry. So those are something that we roll out with. ClearQuest is still something that is kind of bit fuzzy because of our ClearQuest version and other limitations. And I think maybe we'll also cover JAMA as an MCP. So these are few things that we will roll out in near future. You'll come to know more. I will share our content with that. But MCP, if we start covering in this session, it will go beyond 1 hour. So we'll just touch upon it. And any more details, you can reach out to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anything else? Okay, then we'll start with the first feature, the first major feature that has come post the last session and which is quite helpful, which is the GitHub Copilot plan mode. Sagar will take over on the session and also show an example of how we can use that. Go ahead, Sagar.
Yeah, so I think in the last session we covered all the basic features like code completion or tag, ask mode, which is, and then the agent. I think agent we just started because it was just rolled out in the last time when we did it, and then edit as well. So now we have this feature called plan mode. So I think most of you all would have already used agent mode, right? Who all have used agent mode here? Or anybody didn't use agent mode?
Who has not used or heard of agent mode? On the call?
On call? Yeah. So agent mode is more, as we know, it's more of an autonomous tool, right? That AI-based tool. So for agent mode has things like tools that contains different types of context. It can take up skills and books, and then even the instruction files. So this can take all of this, and then it can run things autonomously. The problem with agent mode is it burns a lot of tokens. right? If you had used agent mode, you can see that it implements something, then it asks itself whether it is correct. Maybe it will find something breaking, errors, issues. Then it'll go over it again, try to fix it, ask questions itself again and again and again. Maybe if you have found these design items or issues earlier and told it, given it more clarity, then it wouldn't have done that, right? So it consumes a lot of tokens. That is one of the problems with agent. So to kind of solve it, we have plan mode here, which helps you plan things earlier, right? Better. So plan mode is, yeah, as it says, it's A for development planning. So it helps you plan before you even write a single line of code, right? Another problem with agent mode is it will go into implementation directly. So if you want to just investigate something, you have to specify. Don't change any files, right? Don't do any modifications. Just give me this, or maybe markdown file, or just give me result. Right? Don't do modification. You have to specifically do it. Even after that, you'll see it going through and making file changes on its own. So it can do that. So this plan mode is it's also agentic, right? So it will do iterate over files. Right? It will use the skill sets, any MCP, any tools that you have, it will use it. Then it will not do any modification. Maximum it will do is it will create a documentation at the end, maybe a markdown file. Okay, that's all. Right? This will not write a single line of code. So one thing it does is step-by-step planning, like how we do in normal software development lifecycle, how we plan, how we change stuff, then arrive at the documentation. All this step it will do. It will take that step-by-step approach, and then once it's done, it will create phases. So even if you want to do implementation, it will create a detailed phase-by-phase implementation structure. So in this phase I'll do this, in this phase I'll do this. It will create that plan, right? And then interactive refinement. So one good thing about plan mode is it will ask you question back. So it will tell you, no, I have found this. What would you want to choose, right? If there are multiple frameworks or multiple packages it found that can suffice us, it will ask you, okay, these are the list of items. Choose which one would best fit for you. It will also tell you what are the advantages, disadvantages of a particular thing. So yeah, it will do interactive refinement, right? Yeah. What is plan mode? So it will create detailed actionable development plans, as I mentioned, by taking step-by-step approach, right? Asking. So when to use this plan mode? So whenever you have, so ask mode, you have to provide context, right? You have to choose the file or folder you want to provide, and it will go over in detail, and then it will answer things for you, right? So when you have more than 2 or 3 files, right, or you want to deal with the whole workspace, then you can use this plan mode. So it can be used to create a new plan for a new feature, or as well as investigation. If you have any issues that you want to investigate also, this is the best plan to use, the best mode to use. So yeah, as I mentioned, new feature planning as well. Create a detailed plan for you by asking questions back as well. And if you want to refactor large modules, this is the best one. So it can, it is an agentic one. It will take the context however it needs. So it will go over your whole workspace, find files for itself, find the specific code or anything that it wants. So we create a plan for you. And another thing is, if you want to do team handoffs, like multiple teams are working on a feature, and then you want to like give a documentation or some plan, right? So you can use this. And when to not use is for simple function. When it's straightforward for you what to implement or what to ask, what context to give, it's not recommended to use plan mode. Because plan mode, if you give almost whole workspace, it will go through all the files, whatever context it needs. Takes some time to create plan, right? If everything is straightforward, you know what to implement, what to ask it to do. This is might not be the best mode to use.
So one use case where plan mode actually shines, although it kind of is not made for that, is investigations and finding edge cases, or finding basically what all workflows will be affected by a fix that you're going to do. That's something that you can try and check, because in that case, it has to go through the workspace. It has to basically look at multiple files and then figure out if there is an impact that has to be covered in another place. That it will do better than other modes, which is ask, where you have to again explicitly give the context, or in terms of your agent mode, which will start trying to do something. So try and use plan mode for these. That will really be helpful. But as a very oversimplification of the rule, if you have any change which is under 50 files, don't go to plan mode. The token penalty is high, and it's an overkill for that task.
One use case which is fits our thing is that understanding legacy code. So if you want to understand legacy code, plan mode. Also, if you want to do low level or high level design, if you want to brainstorm with it, you can use plan mode. So it's very interactive. So how to use plan mode? We can use the, as shown in the screen, you can use the plan mode. You can use the plan mode by changing the mode in the VS Code or any other IDs, or you can use the command /plan. By using these, it will activate plan mode. Right. So output of what is output of plan mode? So it will either create your an implementation. So it can be an investigation. At the end, it will just create a documentation, right? Or if you want to implement it, go ahead and implement. It will create a prompt. Okay, you will not see the prompt directly, or you can ask it to create a prompt. Otherwise, in background, it's actually building a prompt so that you can start implementation. In UI, you will see a button called Start Implementation at the end. If you click on it, that prompt it will apply on the agent mode and it will start implementation. So this is actually the what is the end result of plan mode, right? Yeah. So you can also, as I mentioned before, it will create if you want to implement, it will create a phase by phase plan. So each phase you can so you can go over what it is creating the plan. So you can validate each phase and ask it to change it as well. Okay, let me show you a quick demo.
So just one question, people offline and online. How many of you have used plan mode? Has anyone of you used plan mode till now? Oh. Do you see plan mode in your IDs? Okay, fine. Online? Are you people familiar with plan mode? Have you used it? One person we have.
Yes, we have used it, sir.
Yeah. So one of the demos I want to show is using plan mode for issue investigation. So here I have one demo application where you can enter username and password. But if I click on sign in, there is an error thrown, right? Cannot read properly undefined. So this is one of the issues I see. So I want to investigate this issue. So what I do is I'll go, as I mentioned, I'll choose the plan mode here from the option. Right? I'm using VS Code. So I'll specify my prompt. I have a login screen and I see I enter a valid username password, but I click on submit, I get an error. Right? I specify the error and I can give the whole project as a context. Here I've attached the whole project as context. So now that it will go over the code and it will try to investigate. So it will not try to do anything. So plan mode, as I mentioned before, it will try to investigate, it will find the root cause, it will try to create a documentation. That's what it will try to do. Right? In the meantime, I'll show you once. It will take few minutes. So I'll show you another use case. Right? So this is one practical use case that we use plan mode recently. Is in EVA, everybody would have known about the EVA application, right? So in EVA application, we use a third-party package called JTDS. Right? It is now deprecated. So we wanted to migrate to JDBC. Right? We wanted to understand the impact of this migration and what all changes we need to do. So that's why we use the plan mode here. So I'm just switching to plan mode here. Right? So I'm giving my prompt that in this project that I have this JDBC driver that we use. So I need to plan this migration. So I'm asking it to focus on the breaking changes and the parts that needs to be changed, right? And what has to be implemented. So I'm asking it to create a plan for this migration. So now I give this prompt and it's going over my whole workspace. Right? That's found all the files where JTDC or reference is there. So it's reading every file that it found, connection-based references, right? All this it'll do. It's pretty similar to the agent mode, right? Now it is telling you where all the changes will come, breaking changes, all the changes that it found that has to be done in this whole project. It is listing out, right? It has listed out. You can go over each one of them. It is also highlighting what is the risk. So there's some base to start with. It give some basic changes like jar file you need to change, driver class name you need to change, some URL you have to change, named URL parameter you need to change. But I found one thing which is related to name pipe support. This put it at highest risk. It is now saying that in your new package, this name pipe that we are using is no longer supported. So it's also saying that this might change. It might need SQL Server changes, right? So this suggested this. So rest of them are pretty straightforward. So it will also ask at the end some questions back to you, like what is the encryption strategy I should use? It has changed. It has led to change. As I mentioned, name type. These are the changes that it has found. So it will ask you some questions back. So in this case, I wanted to discuss more about the JDBC support for the pipes, right? It has told it has deprecated out. It can't be used. So I've asked, are there any alternatives that you can suggest? Now it has started investigation in that direction, right? Now it wants to, as I mentioned, it's a agentic tools, agentic thing, right? So it has even fetching the documentation for each of the things. JDBC driver documentation is found. Based on that, more conclusion on the support. Right? Right. Yeah, as you can see, it found few alternatives. It is asking what you want to choose. You want to go the TCP now that name pipe is not supported. You want to go to TCP IP. Even suggesting me like change the whole SQL DB to local DB. So that is also one of the options. So replacing. So all these things it will suggest. Right? I can continue investigation based on the alternative that is suggested. Here I will choose the switch to TCP IP, and then, or if you want custom answer, custom answer. Maybe don't use all these or all three of them. Maybe select something else that you have. It also gives you reasoning, as I mentioned before. Why these options? A nice tabular view. Right?
And at the end of it, if you're doing a deep investigation, you want a documentation output of design choices you've taken, why you have taken a design choice, or why not. All that also it can summarize and give you a document.
Yeah, this is at the end. It has actually summarized. You can even ask it to print it to a Northern file. So, or now I was satisfied with all the investigation in here. Right, all the alternatives suggested. So I went ahead and clicked on start implementation. Now it will start implementing. If you see here, it will switch to agent mode. The moment this is only in the IDEs. If you click on start implementation, it will switch to agent mode, and there it will start to do the implementation. In case during implementation, if you found something that you need to clarify or ask it back, you can stop this and switch to plan mode and get it clarified and switch back to agent. That also you can.
So plan mode is introduced in which version?
Sorry.
This plan mode is introduced in Cloudy Sonnet.
No, so it's a feature of Copilot. You can use any model with it.
I don't know why Sagar is using old model. Ideally, you should. Okay, models will touch upon later, but I think you should use Claude Sonnet 4.6. Right now, that is like with 1x, that's the best model, or Codex 5.3. That's the OpenAI model, or 1x.
And Opus?
Opus, yeah, but it is costly. That's the
For investigation and all, creating a plan, Sonnet works.
yeah. So if you see that it's quite complex work that you want to do, then you go ahead with Opus 4.6, but don't do everything with Opus 4.6. It's overkill, right?
One thing with Opus is it has a huge context window.
Yeah.
Whenever you are working on a large project, we'll touch upon that by what models. Or I use 4.5 or 4.6 Sonnet for planning. It works well. You can even use GPT 5.1, all this
5.2 codex.
5.3 codex. All these you can use. It will only use 1x of your premium token.
So if you use Opus, 4 or 5 of your queries will burn 15% of your monthly quota. So be a little careful around that. Anyway, I think we'll touch upon that when we are doing CLI.
Yeah, the earlier use case, it has now identified root cause. So there's some issue with the label naming, right? So it has to be plural. So that's what it has identified. Issue here it is singular, but here credential and credential. So the issue. So it has identified the root cause. So you can click on start implementation. Now switch to agent. Switch to agent mode. We will start implementation. This is plan mode. Any question?
Where we can see that monthly quota available, that and all details.
Here, I mean, so if you are using VS Code or any other IDEs, there's usually a Copilot icon in it. So just hover or click on the Copilot icon, you'll see premium request. So how much you have consumed this month? Just, I think right now it allows you want to go above 100%. You're trying to restrict it, but just be careful.
You're not trying to restrict. Asking what is the policy. Yeah, but see, token efficiency is also something you need to take care of. Right now, you're getting tokens, so you can burn. You don't know when that will change. So yeah, you have to be a little more efficient with what you ask, and not ask any and everything to AI. Basically, look at how it is processing. Maybe I think we'll touch upon that in one of the other sessions. Forward.
Yes. So common pitfalls to avoid. So I think we will cover wait prompt soon. That don't give wait prompt, right? Give as much details as possible that you can give. Like don't make it just say make it secure, right? Give it some details. Skip refinement. So don't skip refinement. So if you see a plan, always read through it. Spend 2 to 3 minutes at least to read through what it has giving proposal or phase by phase what it is giving. So always do that. Don't do just directly. It might be giving a wrong plan altogether. So don't. Yeah. Next one is also similar. Over trust without reviewing. Without reviewing, don't trust what it has directly generated. Even though it will create a huge plan, it doesn't mean that it's good, right? And wrong tools for the job. Don't use plan mode when it is not needed, right? Chat or if you have the big task, if you have to use the chat agent, if you already know what to implement, straightforward things use the agent. Only if you have 3 or more files, and if you have to create an investigation or a plan without changing code, then use plan. Yes, done.
Any questions? Okay. So if you have try the plan mode for anything that is any investigations. I know we have many issues. If you want to basically see what is the impact of change that you are doing, see if this is helpful. Let us know if it is not, so that we can sit and maybe tune it a little. Yeah, so we'll move on to the next feature that has quite a big thing for Copilot. That's the Copilot CLI. So initially, till date, most of the new features that come to Copilot, GitHub Copilot, come to VS Code as an IDE and not to other IDEs. And because we have majorly Java and C Sharp, people use Visual Studio for C Sharp. For Java, we use Eclipse. And I think for anything else, we use VS Code. But because of this IDE dependency, the way the feature rollout happens, the model rollout happens, it's a bit slow. It comes much later to VS Code, and Eclipse is like, I don't know when. Sometimes it reaches very late. So this is one feature that circumvents that. I'm sure people would have heard of Claude Code. I don't know if you has anyone not heard of Claude Code? What is Claude Code? Online or open code? Arya? What? Got caught. What is Claude Code?
So it basically generates.
You have to speak a little louder. I don't know. Here, online.
So it takes the user input and generates end-to-end application based upon the requirements.
Yeah, so it's basically terminal-based agentic framework that Anthropic released, and to follow suit, Copilot also released its own version of it, which is GitHub Copilot CLI, which is IDE independent, can work on files. I think the details of it is what Anurag will.
So hi everyone. So we'll discuss the VS Code Copilot and the Copilot phase. So if you've been following the LLMs or AI labs from last 2-3 months, you have seen that almost all AI providers have released a terminal agent instead of a UI agent. So, as Ankit said, Anthropic has released Claude Code. There's an open source version is Open Code. ChatGPT or OpenAI has released the Codex CLI. So every major AI provider has released the terminal agents. So same for GitHub also has released their recent CLI, Copilot CLI. We'll go through what it does and how to use in our use case. So first thing, so the basic difference between the GitHub Copilot and the Copilot CLI, we'll go through that. So why we use Copilot in our IDE? Because we wanted inline suggestions when we are doing our coding in our IDE. We want inline suggestions what we are typing it, so we can check in our IDE what we are trying to implement. Second use case is to exactly know what you're trying to build, what function you are writing, why you are writing. At that time, you can ask your IDE just to check that functions, and in that file you can see the visual diffs which you are writing. Okay, this is agent is suggesting for us. Is it correct or not? So that is how till now you use your Copilot. But the Copilot CLI lives in your terminal. It is not an IDE independent thing. You can open your terminal. You can run a Copilot command there. The CLI will open irrespective of any IDE. Doesn't matter your IDE supports that or not. So the complete agent runs in your terminal, so it's a computer specific thing. So there is no beautiful UI to run that. It's a direct terminal chat box. You put there and you get an output. Now the one thing Copilot CLI has is it's more autonomous as compared to your IDE agent. IDE agent, you see, okay, you have given a prompt, it is implementing, it opens files, it shows you the diffs, what it is implemented. It asks you at every step to keep that thing or undo that thing. You go by arrow, checks it, okay, it's fine, this is doing that. Then you do keep on, you click on keep button to keep that change and or undo that. But CLI agent doesn't work like that. You gave a prompt, they'll do something for 2-3 minutes and give you the output. You can verify by seeing the end result, is it correct or not. But you cannot have a feedback loop in between what you are implementing, what you are achieving. So first we'll check how Copilot GitHub fits in our use case. Then we'll go from Copilot CLI, how that fits in. So when you really want to use GitHub Copilot, first thing is, as I said, you know what you are trying to write, what you are trying to change, what exactly file needs to modify, where to exactly change the code. If you know all these things, go with your IDE, use agent mode, do the implementation, verify each step, and it works fine if you know that. Second is if quick bug fixes is there or implementation you want to refactor, you know this function as somebody has written, you want to refactor it just to see, okay, now what is the vulnerabilities or issue with the old function, you go quickly open your IDE, change that and fix those things. So in this use cases, your current IDE Copilot works best and you use it like that way. But where does it struggle? So if you have seen any task you're working for over half an hour, the context window itself falls and all the session you are chatting back and forth, it loses the initial plan what you are trying to implement. The IDE also becomes slow. You try to switch the or workspace. The IDE takes more RAM as compared to when you run agent for a longer session. So that is one of the major use case which agent IDE lacks. Second is too much context if you fit it in your agent. You go edit 10 to 15 files, then the overhead comes for an IDE is it has to manage your 10, it has to read 10 files from your file system, put it in your agent model context window, then do the query and output it in your agent chat box. So overall layer is there, file system, chat UI of your IDE, then you get the output. So that much is too much for agent to maintain it. For longer session, it doesn't work well when you do it from your IDE chat box, which Sagar just showed you. Now this problem solved by Copilot CLI. So first problem is solved is IDE overhead. So as we know that older Eclipse doesn't support the Copilot. So people were saying that we cannot use Copilot in the Eclipse. But now this Copilot CLI doesn't depend on the IDE. So you can open your repo, you can open Copilot in that repo and you can directly chat with it. So first thing, which major use case we have with Copilot CLI is IDE overhead.
A lot of people used to use Eclipse and VS Code. People suggested it becomes very slow, right? So this solves that.
Yeah. Second feature which Copilot CLI works better as compared to your IDE agent is autonomous debugging. So what does this mean? Let's say you have one component you never explored and you wanted to see the architecture and you wanted to find a bug which might be coming from that component. So if you do same thing with your IDE agent, you have to add that component files, related files. Then you'll ask, okay, I'm facing this issue, can you check? And if you same thing you ask with the Copilot CLI, what is the difference is that when you ask from your IDE agent, it has to map all your folder structures, read it from your again file system, map it to your issue, and you give it to as a context in your chat UI, then find it on. But Copilot CLI doesn't have to go through your IDE. It can directly read files from your file system as it lives in your terminal. It directly it maps your folder structures, add some meta info on each folder structures and files, then add to your chat box as you have described your bug. So if you need more autonomous debugging or finding the issues in your repo, you can use CLI for that, as it can maintain better large context, large files, and it has better tool calling support. As again, now these days models use tools to do different things. For example, they wanted to fetch some information from web or read and docs from particular repository. So those tool callings also take some space. So if you're doing same things in your IDE, the context window will get full very easily. But in CLI, the CLI agents tracks each tool calling, and some tools, if you're not using it later on, it will automatically discard those old tools and keep the context window clean and short. I'll explain all this how to manage your context window in CLI.
Just one question: how many of you have used CLI? GitHub Copilot CLI, has anyone used?
I'll show you the hands-on session for this.
Yeah, we'll get it set up for you, and I think Anurag will also show, maybe start with a small prompt or something, right?
Yeah.
That you have planned. Yeah. Okay. Seems like no one has used CLI.
The third feature, as I said, end-to-end workflows, but use this very too carefully when develop end-to-end workflows. If you want to add some features completely autonomously, and this works best when it used by plan mode, as Sagar said, plan mode, discuss with it what you really want to implement, then shift to the build mode. Same supports for the CLI also as the UI. So same plan, then implement. It works better as compared to IDE agent for end-to-end workflows. Okay. The last thing is multi-repo power that I already explained. You can use it with any folder, any repo, doesn't matter if your IDE supports or not. But it is not like that CLI works better in every use case as compared to IDE. Some things which we should take care by using the CLI. First is no real-time feedback loop. So if you ask something to do it, it's changing the file, editing code. You are not seeing it, what exactly it is changing. It just gives the final output. Okay, I have changed these files. Check your output. But when you are doing same thing in IDE, you have a visual diff between what was previous code was there, what it has changed. You have to accept that line exactly or not. So that thing doesn't come in CLI. So no real-time feedback loop when you are using CLI. So if you don't want to check your code, what agent is doing, then you should use CLI. If you really want to check everything what agent is changing, then go with your IDE agent. Second is black box decisions. So I'll show you one thing. I have implemented something. It completely does all these from initialization to the end development. Now I don't know what exactly it has there. Then I have to open that repo from IDE. I have to check all those things. So if it doesn't care about you that much black box, what it is doing, what exactly it has written, then you can use CLI for automated workflows, which I've said end-to-end workflows for that. Iterating feels clunky. This means like if you want a quick explanation and back and forth question answering, that doesn't work in IDE terminally. It works better in IDE. So if you want what this function does, what is this file doing, if you want to ask these type of question, don't do it on CLI, as it takes more time for these questions. It will map your repo folder structure, take context, that takes time. But this works easily in your IDE agent. You just add the file, ask what is this function doing. That is easy for in IDE agent. So it depends on the use case, when to use what, terminal agent or the IDE agent.
So anyway, I think don't worry about remembering these things. We will share a cheat sheet across in terms of what works best for what. So you can refer that. Maybe we'll put a printout somewhere.
Yeah,
on the floor as well.
share the docs with you. Yeah. So now I urge you to follow to set up the CLI in your system. So first go to the Copilot CLI website and share this command in the chat.
Just time check, Anurag. I have to go a little fast.
Yeah.
A saga to know.
Certainly does.
So you can open your PowerShell and run this command.
Can all of you do that here? On the call as well? You're not doing it through NPM.
No, this PowerShell work.
NPM, you need NPM install.
I know. Okay, people on call, can you let us know if you're done?
If you get any error, following on the same page. So you can trigger your Copilot CLI with Copilot command. So first time it takes little bit time. Yeah. So first thing it asks, does you trust that folder or not? So if you want in the repo which you want to run the CLI, you cd into that repo, then run the Copilot command. Then it will ask you trust that folder or not. According to your preference, give the yes. You have to select obviously. Then first thing you have to do, you have to log in. So you have to do /login command. Log in your Copilot account with your CLI.
As a general rule, please do not give it access to your system files.
That I will.
Yeah. If you basically are running command prompt,
Click on
system32 or something, or your user's account, please move to a separate folder and then run Copilot command again.
Okay, then select github.com. It will give you this URL. You copy this URL, paste it on your browser where you have already logged in with your GitHub. Click on continue. Then there is one code also available in the terminal. If you see, copy that code. Paste it and continue. Following?
It's better to have your GitHub account logged in first. I think most of you would have got access through EMU. Use the Royal Philips link to log in if you have not already have it logged in.
Yeah, that's authorized.
Then
GitHub.
you can use this link.
You can use your authenticator or you can use your password. So I'll use password. After that, your device is authenticated to use Copilot. So as I said, to trigger Copilot, you have to write Copilot. Now explain you some configuration you should set while using CLI. So first is to give your instructions. So if you want to give some global instructions to your CLI, always follow these steps before changing anything. I have configured, so you have to configure those instructions in your root and /copilot folder .copilot instructions. So you have to create a markdown file in your root that this will be applied on all Copilot CLI sessions. Doesn't matter which repo you are running your Copilot. So as I said, write clean and readable. This is a simple MD file. So write clean, readable, self-documenting code. Do not use console.log in production apps. These simple configuration according to your tech stack, according to your readability and preference, you can define your Copilot instructions in MD file. But this MD file will apply on the all global session of your Copilot. So this is like user specific. But if you want to configure Copilot instructions specific to your repo to just follow the instruction on this repo, then you have to use this command, init command. So this will what will do, it will read your code base. According to your code base, it will generate an MD file in .github/Copilot instruction in your repo, not in the global path. So this init command will help you to generate a Copilot instruction for your repo. I have already run it. Show you the output. So from here, it reads all the files, directory structure, text stack, all this, and it generated one file in my repo for the same repo which I was showing, the XR IDEA portal. It is saved in the .github instructions.md. So this is the repo specific instructions. The previous I showed the global instructions. Now other common commands which you should use is models. First thing you have to obviously choose the model, which models you want to use. So also I'll touch on when to use which model. So start from the free models at 4.1 and 5 mini which we got. So if you want to just check on any text thing or adding simple logs, simple things, very minute changes only, you can use free models. But usually we don't use them for our day-to-day coding task. The current best coding models is Sonnet 4.5 from Anthropic, Sonnet 4.6 from Anthropic, GPT 5.2 Codex, 5.3 Codex. So these are the common models which are best in coding as of today. And Opus 4.6 and 4.5 are useful when you have a complex reasoning task. So let's say there's a completely new repo and you are not familiar with repo and you want to explain that architecture or want to find any bug in that or investigate any bug, then you can use Opus for very hard reasoning task. But if you know just a coding task, file editing, file changing, implementing some features, you can go with Sonnet or Codex. And so you choose your model, and as said that Sonnet Opus charges more as compared to Sonnet, so it's 3x. So every one request is almost a 1% of your premium request in Opus. But in other model it's 1x, so 3 request makes up to 1% of your premium request. So and I choose Sonnet as my default. Then this is the feature which CLI gives. According to your use case, you can choose balance things or minimal thinking, optimal performance. Keep it as medium as it is recommended. The UI looks like this. It's a one chat box we have here. We can trigger various command with /. The available commands list pops up and you can select the command. In right hand side bottom, it shows the overall premium request usage. So I have a 94% remaining. Shift tab is used to switch the mode as same as ID agent which Sagar has showed. The plan mode. So this is the plan mode. This is autopilot mode. It's dangerous. It does not. If you configure your permission properly, it will automatically give your task. Autopilot and build has one difference. Autopilot is when you give the task, it will continuously iterate on your task until it does not achieve that task, and it will not ask for permission if you have configured it for allowed all permissions. So use autopilot in very rare cases. Second is simple shift tab is your build to. So plan, then iterate, then build it. So I'll show you some examples. In morning, I have given him one prompt to develop a simple dashboard for analytics of user behavior. So it has developed. This is the dashboard it has developed. Now the one thing is there. Now this is black box what I was saying. So I don't know what it has used internally. I can ask him explain all the tech stack and the but again this is a black box coding. So I needed this dashboard for simple use case. I don't want it to be in part of any repo. It's just me and 2-3 other people will going to. So this is one thing. Then second is I'll explain the common commands which you can use with your Copilot. So First is this agent. So if you have configured your custom agent, which you can do in your IDE also, so you have .github and your custom agent. So if you want those agents to be used with your CLI, you can use /agent and select that agent. So here the option is new agent or your current agent. What if you already have your agent configured in .github directory? Second is this compact command is very useful. Let's say you are working on very large repo or big code base and you continuously chatting with it or asking him questions. Almost the context window get full of any model when that much big repo. Then you wanted to start another session, but you do not want to lose your summary, the last conversation. So you will summarize your previous conversation in a compact form. It will come to your next session. So if your current session gets full context window means the memory of your agent, how much text it is remembering to generate a token. So if you want to summarize it, use compact. It will summarize all the previous conversations, move it to your next session. To check the current context of your session, you can do /context. It will give how much of it is used, what tools or message or free space, how much each configuration is taking in your context. It can display. Next is
You will have to cut short
yeah, just
for the time. Maybe you can share this in the cheat sheet.
yeah, sure. So you can go through the commands and check how to go all work. Last thing I want to touch is, so we are not saying like to choose CLI or just a IDE agent. It totally depends on your use case, what you are trying to do. So these are the common listing which I have listed over here. Like let's say you know deep flow state coding, if you know what you are exactly changing, you have exact idea of where to change it. Use VS Code Copilot. If you know, and if you don't know anything about the repo, you wanted an architecture or the code explanation, go with the Copilot CLI. Or if you want to, where does the bug fix is there, you open that file, you ask an agent change this, and it quickly does. VS Code Copilot. If you have no idea about your bug, you don't know where the source code even existed, go with Copilot CLI. So yeah, that's it. Any question?
Maybe try the CLI. I think for the use cases that Anurag has listed, pulled, and come back to us if he is that okay, I'm getting a hack.
I think along with CLI, now Copilot has also rolled out SDK. So now you have seen the Copilot in VS Code, you have seen Copilot in CLI. If you want Copilot in your application, then you can use SDK. So it will allow you, give you methods to call this prompt or call these models. Then it will give you result back.
Yes.
So we'll share a.
If you want to create an application with a chatbot, like inside it, with the AI application running inside it. But yeah, let's discuss that offline.
We'll send you documentation link. So if anybody is interested, you can go over it.
All right. Yeah. Finally, let's move to how do we optimize our usage? How do we make sure that we are prompting smarter, not harder? So again, there is. I'm hoping all of you know that there is a company called Anthropic, right, which releases Claude, which we all use. Claude as a model. So Anthropic did a paper, research paper recently on what is called as AI fluency, and there is a 4-dimensional AI fluency framework that it has suggested. So now, how do we follow that, and how exactly do we like kind of integrate that to our way of working? This is kind of an overview of that. Yeah, and I never take it.
Hi everyone. So before we dive in, let's start with a question. What is prompting and what do you think a prompt is? Anyone here or on call?
Pick someone. Don't ask.
I
Me, not just pointing me out.
Someone else.
Manya.
Prompting is giving that AI what to do, what has to be done, what changes.
Yeah, so basically a prompt is the medium through which to communicate with the AI. So that is the first point where you start, right? So it has to be in detail. You have to basically transfer your intent to the AI model, only then it will work on the task. So yeah. Yes, so the way you communicate intent to an AI tool determines the quality of what you get in return as a response. There are five effective prompting techniques that you can use. First is specificity, context, examples, role, and iteration. Now, specificity is to specify clearly what is your ask. Then context is to refer to the relevant files or relevant tech stack that you want the AI to know. And then examples, you can provide the sample input and output examples, which examples of the output which you wanted to respond in. For example, if you want the output in a JSON format, then you need to specify that. Then role. Now, the respond of the AI will be different for if you specify that you're a software architect, it will be different than a junior script generator, right? So it will set the depth of the response that you want the AI to respond in, and then iteration. It can't be like that you specify all the things in the first prompt and then expect it to return with the correct response. Right, you need to tell at the end of the prompt. You can just specify that maybe ask the follow-up questions if required, one at a time. So that will keep the AI model to not hallucinate in any case, right? It will ask if it's not sure about any of the scenarios. It will ask you directly. Yeah. So AI tools have no prior knowledge of your project, of your code base beyond what you tell them. The more you provide, the better the output will be. Now, there are some anti-patterns that you need to avoid. The first is the vague prompt. Now, you can just put in the bug and tell it to fix it. It won't do it right away. You need to add the context and the specifics in the prompt itself. Then the other one is the overloaded prompt. Now, if you have 5 different things to solve, you can't specify all of them in the one prompt and expect it to separate it out itself and then respond in steps to the problem. So you need to split the prompt based on the different objectives, one objective per prompt.
And that is something you should follow as a rule of thumb. Always keep one prompt per one thing that you want to do. For anything else, add a new prompt. If you see that you are going into too many statements, asking to do 4 or 5 things, stop right there. It's okay if you're doing it in plan mode, but don't do it in ask or agent mode. It will get confused and it will mix things up. Yeah, sorry.
And then missing the question. Like, for example, you just specify a statement like that create this function, and then not asking it what specific needs you want it to do. Then there you need to specify a particular task that you're expecting out of it. Then vague success criteria or output. Now, again, you specify a function, you focus on the function, and then expect it to magically know then what it has to do. Don't do that. You need to specify the success scenario that you expect out of it.
So you're basically leaving your AI model or open to assumptions, open to make assumptions. The more you give it leeway, the more it starts assuming based on the history or its own training. And many a times it gives you output which is not usable. So this is something that you need to keep in mind when you are prompting. I think you'll have to go a little faster on this slide.
Okay. Yeah. There are different techniques that you can follow while prompting. One is role prompting. Again, specify who you are, what depth do you want the AI to respond with. Then one is iterative chaining. After every initial prompt, ask it to ask follow-up questions so that it doesn't hallucinate or go out of path. Then another one is rubber ducking. Now, what it is give it your initial assumption, initial solution to it, and then ask if you have missed any of the edge cases or you have missed any of the maybe it can create any more bugs or it has any impact on other components. Then you can communicate with it and reach to a specified response. Right? That is different of the other techniques we'll be including in the doc that we're providing at the end of the day. You can.
Yeah, so in interest of time, we'll not go through everything, but you will get it in the cheat sheet. Yeah.
Think of a situation where you need to add an image quality validation to the DXR acquisition pipeline, where you need to reject the underexposed or clipped X-ray images before they reach PATS. That is the problem statement. You have Copilot in front of it. You write the prompt as write function to validate image quality. You don't give any role, you don't give any context to it. You just ask it to produce a response. It will give you a response. It seems like okay on the first go, but then it is in generic Python, but your code base is in C++. It didn't know that your code base is in C++, right? Then there is no DICOM tag handling, no exposure index thresholds. You tweak and then you re-ask, then you give more prompts about it, and 45 minutes have gone by. You think that maybe it can't generate it. You give the whole task manually, you write it down manually and think that AI can't do it. So here the problem was not the AI model, here the problem was the input that you provided it with. So to avoid that, again, there is a follow RTCC. RTCC is here the R stands for role, where you specify who you are, then task, you specify what you need it to do, then context, what it needs to know beforehand, and then constraints. What are all the guardrails that you need to set? So yeah, now to give example, there are two different prompts which is using the RTCC framework and the other one is not. The first one is write a function to validate image quality. Here you're not providing any role, context, constraint, and anything. So again, the same iterative loop goes on. The other one is you specify who you are, C++ dev with DICOM expertise. Then you also set the context, you set the constraints, that is validate DXR exposure index and clipping. And then you set an output format, return quality result enum. So here it will have more context about your problem and will provide an expected solution. Okay, now there are two things. The prompting is for the basic tasks which is less complex, where you need to follow the RTCC model and then iterative refinement and single task code. But when we have a more complex task, there is a term going on, context engineering, which includes strategic file and spec references, custom instructions per repo, write mode for the right task. Again, as Sagar mentioned, the modes, that is agent mode and then run mode and yes. So based on the modes, based on your complexity of the problem, you can specify the mode as well.
So again, context engineering is now what people are moving towards from what they called vibe coding earlier. So you need to provide context, as much context as you provide, again, as much meaning that there is still a golden ratio. You cannot write like 4,000 words essay and ask it to go through that and then work on it. You will fill the context window with your context or your essay only. So this is not something that you need to do right now. We're giving you an overview, and side by side we are preparing a DXR level context or AI platform, software development AI platform, where these context spec files will be in place. You will get an agent to generate the same for your respective components, an onboarding agent. All that is under progress, so it will come. But you need to know that for anything that is a little more complex, this is now the right way to go, which is you already have context provided as files for your agent, rather than providing it at the time when you're asking. So when it is running on a particular repo, on a particular component, it already knows, okay, all this is what is specific to this component. So in interest of time, we'll not go into details of how to generate that and all, but we will send across details on that in a mail once we roll out the AI platform for working in DXR. Any questions on this? People on the call? No? So again, I think referring back to the Anthropic's.
Yeah, so basically, if you think of your AI model as your thinking partner in the complex scenarios cases, rather than the automated code generator, it will give you 2x more better solutions. tasks. So yeah, toolkit includes that in your prompt you can include hashtag file which is relevant to your problem. Then hashtag selection also you can highlight the code which you want AI to focus on, and then Copilot instruction MD file which will contain all the tools that are like specific to your. Then spec files and plan mode. Again, spec plan mode before if you're not like you don't have a particular approach to go ahead with, you can first plan with the plan mode and then go to the implementation phase. Yeah. So use ask mode when you want to understand, use plan mode when you want to design, and then use agent mode after you have an approach for implementation. Key things that I would like you to use this week is RTCC model and the plan mode before your agent mode, which is like used in the cases of the features. If you are starting with the feature from the scratch, you can first plan, and then if you want to refactor the code, you can first plan. Then you have an approach that you want to go ahead with the implementation with the agent. Contribute to the proposed Copilot instruction MD that.
Yeah, so this basically what I told. We will roll out the DXR repo, Eliva repo, Copilot instructions MD, and on your component subsystem levels, you will have further context MD. The whole process of how to build that is something that we'll roll out the coming 1 or 2 weeks. For the other two, please go and try this instead of your normal prompts. Use RTCC, and I told. Come back to us if you see benefits. If you don't see benefits, come back to us. We probably will tune our approach from that point onwards. And yes, I think plan mode is something. I go to the last slide. Oh. Yeah, so yeah, you can take a screenshot of this if you want. It's a reference card of how basically to work with AI. But in any case, there are some resources that we have given. Those resources are very good, the playbooks. We will anyway share playbooks with you. And there is also a Copilot prompt. Can you share that in the chat right now? The master prompt.
Instruction file.
Instruction file, yes. So okay, just to ensure, as in based on Anthropic's paper, and as we suggested that you should use it as a thinking partner and not as an agent or a slave to implement things. There is a few instructions that you can include in your IDE or in your Copilot CLI, so that your agent or your model works in accordance with that. Have you shared can you open that? This is the last thing with that. We just want to show what kind of instructions we need to give to get better output. And share.
Yeah.
So again, this file will be shared. It's already shared, but okay. Yeah. So if you see, this already states you are not just a code generator. You are a technical reasoning partner. When does it have to apply deep analysis? When it does not. Right, and all of this is tried and tested on the Eliva repo. At least 3 of us are already using it. So you have details around when to use direct solutions, when to go into design. Come down, can you scroll down? Every time we have to do problem decomposition, not look at the problem as one set. We wanted to suggest us alternative approaches, never one approach. And whenever it has alternative approaches, it should give us trade-offs. But if I solve it this way, this would be the benefit, but this would be what would be affected. Say performance will be affected, but I will get better display or output. Then edge case thinking, assumption questioning. So if I make an assumption as the user working with AI, it will call that out. Edge case thinking. If I miss an edge case while I'm working with AI, it will call that out. Best practices challenge. If I'm not following best practices, I'm asking you to do something which is not best practice. In general, it will try to call it out. Again, it depends on the model that you're using. Lower capacity models will not follow everything to the T, but at least the costlier models, the premium models will do that. Yeah, and finally, there's a balancing interaction style, which is for design decisions. It can give you more details. It can be verbose. It can question you. it can go into exploration. But for implementations, we ask it to be concise. So it shouldn't give us too much text because it is difficult to go through that. More focus on solution has to be there. It has to be more direct, right? And when in doubt, it should ask, should I go into design mode or implementation? So these are some instructions which we normally are using, and at least we see a benefit. There is something we'll send steps of how to include that in your ID, ES code, and in the ID. Try this, tune it based on what fits you better, and reach out to us if you feel something works better than this. We'll be happy to share it across. Okay, that's about it. Anything else? Any questions, doubts? Online? Okay then. I hope this session was helpful. We'll be sharing in this chat details. Sorry, I heard someone saying something. But here, sorry.
This is something that is different.
Can't. Okay. Well. Okay, we'll share some cheat books and playbooks to work with on the topics at least that we have shared today. Please try those and reach out back to us if you have any more findings, if you see something does not work, or if you see something that works better.
The same principle both you and